let's try to do something different this time around.
Sure.
So, if you work in tech, right? You
Yeah.
know that that people get together. They call it a brown bag session, really.
Right.
So what it is, the reason why they call it that is that people would kind of do some knowledge transfer,
Right.
and it happens during lunch when people just would eat. It's an
Yeah.
informal session.
Right.
So this is probably gonna be the first Bigote Brothers brown bag session
Oh,
that we're
interesting.
gonna have, and
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about a sport that's really dear to my heart. I've watched it for a while.
Right.
Formula One.
Formula One, yeah.
So-
So I consider myself a casual when it comes
Right.
to F1. I know the big names, I know the big teams. Kind of know the prestige of them. I know they make a lot of I know they make a lot of money.
They do.
Drivers make a lot of money, and it was exciting because what really kind of wanted me to learn more about the sport was when 2023 we went to Vegas. We were there in November. We were there the week before the race, and we saw the construction happening on the strip. We saw the bleachers being put up. There was, traffic was a mess, but you can see the anticipation of people hey, this the F1's coming to Vegas after so long. So yeah,
Yep.
it was a pretty exciting time, and it yeah, and I remember like when I was back in the Philippines, when we were in high school. Like you mentioned
Yep.
last week, from F1 is kind of like a conyo,
It's a rich kid sport, really.
It's
No,
a rich
for real.
kid sport. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we had so much more fans of F1 in the Philippines. Compared to here, where there's not much exposure.
Yeah.
With the sport, you can see it on ESPN Plus. They show the races, but back then I remember in the Philippines, like every Saturday morning they had an F1 show, and they would just show
Yeah.
highlights. So that's where I kind of learned about the names of the big time drivers and stuff. So yeah,
Okay, so the goal of this Bigote Brothers brown bag session,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put some kind of graphic in
Right.
there when I edit this.
Uh,
Is we want to kind of share the knowledge of what this is, and hopefully at the end of this, you get to be a fan of this thing, because I think it's awesome.
Yep.
I think it's an amazing sport, and everyone should get into it. So let's start. So Formula One is essentially, well, F1, Formula One, whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it. So it's essentially the NBA of what we call open wheel racing. So feel
Yeah.
free to ask questions. Feel free to stop at any time.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So F1 is open wheel racing. So what is that? So open wheel, as it suggests, is that the wheels are it's a racing car, and
Right.
the wheels are exposed.
exposed. Yeah,
As
yeah.
you can see with these cars. Now, how is this different from NASCAR? NASCAR is racing as well with cars, right?
Yeah.
So NASCAR is mostly well,
Stock car
it kind of
race,
looks
yeah.
like a car.
Yeah.
Right. It's just stripped down to
yeah.
parts. The weight is essentially it's a very light car, but NASCAR is just kind of looks like a normal car. Whereas
Right.
F1, you can see all the wheels exposed. It's a
Yeah.
bit more sleeker looking. It's
Uh-huh.
a bit more streamlined. So that's what Formula One is. So there's a lot of series that are open wheel racers as well.
Right.
So you got Formula 2, you got Formula 3, you got
Yeah.
Formula 2. 4, sorry.
Four,
and you
yeah.
got in the States there's a series called IndyCar.
IndyCar. Yeah, yeah.
And there's even now, because of how, and I'll talk about this in a bit, with how the sport has progressed. There's also now Formula E, where it's all electric cars.
Oh,
But the concept
I
is
didn't
the
know that.
same.
Yeah.
It's a form of open wheel, single seater open wheel racing that is just built for speed, and they usually run it through tracks. Whereas, through they have a lot more twists and turns in the tracks. Whereas NASCAR is mostly just an oval.
yeah.
I believe you're just turning left
Turn left
most
yeah,
of the
yeah,
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what the difference is. So that's what the how of this whole sport is.
Yeah.
You have the what of what the sport is. Now,
Right.
the reason why they call it Formula One is that because it's essentially the number one. This
Yeah.
is the pinnacle of the sport. This is the NBA. This is the NFL of the sport.
Right.
Now, the formula is as the name suggests, is that these cars just follow. These guys just make their own cars from scratch.
Right.
and you just have a set of regulations that you have to follow every year in order for your car to be part of the series. Really. So that's what Formula One is. So now, how does it work? How does it work really? So right now in Formula One, there are 10 teams, and you get to put 2 drivers each. So there's 20 drivers right now on the grid, as you call it. I believe next year is gonna have 2 new teams, so this is probably gonna be 11 or 12, if not mistaken. 11. There's gonna be 11 teams next year, including
and
Cadillac.
one of them is the Mark Walter own team, right?
So Cadillac is coming next year, and there's actually news about that. I'll share that in a bit.
Yeah.
So you'll have 10 teams, and then you're essentially participating in races all around the world. And you can score points. I'll explain the scoring system in a bit.
Right. Yeah.
Now, not everyone can drive this car. Not everyone can just get in and drive a Formula One car, especially not you and me. So these drivers go into intense training because they're subjected to tons of G-force in this car, and you have to be able to control it. So there is such a thing that's called a super license that you have to get as a driver in order to even step into a car if you're even that good.
Wow.
To begin with. So someone from NASCAR cannot technically come into an F1 car and drive it unless they have a super license.
Right.
And it's pretty expensive. I think the licensing cost is pretty crazy on that one. So this is a rich man's sport. Yeah. It is what it is. These kids don't really. It's not like NBA players where you can just start from projects or whatever, or somewhere. It's the entry barrier for Formula One is pretty high,
right?
Given the amount of money that you need to have in order to even participate in it.
Yeah.
So, I mentioned the scoring. So there's a bunch of. Let me just see how many races are in an F1 season. There used to be 16.
Right.
But they've expanded to it's
21.
There are some. There's a lot more circuits this time around,
right.
And they are. Let me see. So there are 24 Grands Prix right now, in its peak. So I'll explain how that works. But essentially, the drivers participate in the race,
right.
And as I said, there's 20 drivers in there. And the first 10 score points. It's kind of like football, where if you win or lose, you get points. That's how the table is constructed.
Right.
So if you're first, I think you get 25 points. If you're second, you get 18. So when it's fourth, it decreases. Now, the drivers are not the only ones fighting for points here.
Right.
As I mentioned, there are 2 drivers per team.
Per team, yeah.
And there's also such a thing as the Constructors' Championship.
Right.
So there's 2 championships in F1. There's the Drivers' Championship, that's the individual drivers, and there's the Constructors' Championship, which is an aggregate of the score of those 2 drivers that you have. So at the end of the year, whoever has the most points gets the trophy and whatnot. And the cool thing about F1 right now is before the car numbers. So as you can see, each driver has their own car number.
Yeah.
And some have weird numbers. So Lewis Hamilton, I believe he has 44. You got other drivers who have Charles Leclerc, I think he has 10.
Right.
No, he's 16. He's number 16. You got Alexander Albon, who's 23. You got but the thing is this, they usually pick the number when they get in. F1 kind of mandates them, okay, you need to pick a number of your car, and that's what you're going to have your whole career. Really. It's like a jersey number. But the championship winner the previous year gets to pick number 1. So that's why you see Max Verstappen, who's won, I believe, the last 4 championships in a row.
Right.
That's why Max Verstappen is car number 1. Right. Because that's his right as the champion. So that's how it works. Now, that's essentially they participate in what's called a Grand Prix weekend.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Saturday, Sunday, right? So the Grand Prix weekend is actually, as I said, it's the name suggests, it's a weekend. Right. So it runs from Friday to Sunday. So Friday is usually when they do practices.
Yep.
Saturday is when they do qualifying, and Sunday is the race. Now,
Is the actual race, yeah.
practice is practice. That's normal.
Right.
Cue the Iverson clip here.
Yeah.
But we're talking about practice, but it's still important.
Yep.
But the Saturday is one of the biggest deals in the sport because
Right.
this is when they determine what the order is on the start of the race. Now, this is very, very strategic because some circuits allow more overtaking than others.
Yes.
So getting good qualification results is key to actually winning. So I'm gonna talk about this more in a bit, but
So if you qualify, if you're like first on the qualifying, does it mean you get pole position?
yeah,
in the
that's
race?
what it's called. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
called pole position.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
means you start first on the grid,
Right.
and you're closer to the start finish line than anybody else.
Right.
So the start is actually one of the most entertaining parts of the whole race because this is where most of the crashes happen.
Yeah.
If people are just too greedy,
Right.
if people are just too too wild with it,
Yeah.
there's a lot of accidents that happen, and there's a lot of overtaking as well.
Yep.
So that's why it's pretty exciting when the race first starts.
Right.
Because with F1 and one of the main I would say criticisms about the sport in previous years is that when dudes start in these positions, they rarely overtake, they rarely move
Yeah.
because of how the aerodynamics work. There's a
Right.
lot of factors, but basically there's not a lot of overtaking, and this is why it didn't really take off a lot in America,
Yeah.
and that's why NASCAR is more of, I guess, accepted because there's just a lot of overtaking in NASCAR.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bumping and accidents. It's
Right.
just from a casual viewer perspective,
Right.
from someone who's going to be paying tickets, watching a NASCAR race might be more exciting than an F1 race because
Right.
of how look these teams in F1, they spend millions on developing these cars.
Right.
Okay, so there are just some teams that are better at it than others, and if you factor in the driver's skill as well,
Right.
it really causes some races to be quote unquote boring.
Yeah.
Just because there's just not a lot happening.
And there's
Now-
a lot of laps too, right?
Yeah, so before when they had, so right now they're not really allowed to refuel anymore.
Oh.
So I don't know if you noticed that.
No,
Before they were allowed
yeah.
to refuel, but
Yeah.
they've taken that away, and now you have to have a full tank of gas that has to last you for the whole race.
Oh.
So right now it's a bit more strategic as to how
Right.
you want to do that because
Yeah.
teams have to plan for this. There's
Right.
different these tracks have different lengths, and that kind of dictates how much laps they have to run in there.
Right.
So we talk about the rules, right? So the
Yeah.
rules are essentially, number one, there's a lot more spending caps now. I
Yeah.
think there's a kind of a salary cap that they have as well.
Oh. Okay.
But back in the day when we were in high school, right, the teams could just spend as much as they want. And that's why teams
Right.
like Ferrari usually get a lot because they have a lot of money.
yeah.
But right now, F1 has kind of regulated that. They want to make sure that teams adhere to a spending cap, and
Right.
they can only spend so much on development, and that's brought a lot more parity to the sport. Really, it's
Yeah.
made it closer, and it's made skill really stand out even more. So before there's such a thing as like the teams that are really bad and they don't have a chance at all to even score points.
Right.
Now it's a bit more open for them to score points. Like for
yeah.
example, Williams.
Williams,
So
yeah,
that's
Williams.
a team of Carlos Sainz and
Yeah.
Alex Albon right now. Is it? Yeah. So before, Williams was known as one of the worst teams
Right.
when we were coming up. But given the fact that everyone now has to have the same kind of spending, the gap is a little bit closer now. There's still viable gap, but
Yeah.
it's now a little. The drivers can now score a lot more points than they did back then. Now, the other thing are tech regulations. So every year they kind of have some regulations that they have to follow with this, whether it's the weight of the car or
Right.
how certain components of the car are built, or even the tires that they use. There's just a lot more movement in there, and F1 has tried to make sure that these teams are closer, so there's a lot more excitement to the races.
Right.
And before they had unlimited budgets, so you'd see a lot of teams before with blown engines,
Yeah.
brakes are failing,
Right.
transmission fails, so on and so forth, and you can just replace that for the next race. But now they have, I believe, a fixed number of engines that they can use within a race. The components are a lot more scarce, so if there's a rule where you can only have X amount of each,
Right.
and if you exceed that, then you're gonna get penalized with your track placing.
Right.
So sometimes, okay, so if you only have 3 engines and you have to use a fourth, then you're gonna earn a 10 place demotion the next race. So that's how they kind of balanced it.
Right.
So the rich teams just can't win every year.
Yeah.
So that's one. And the other thing is that they've changed the engine types as well. So I don't know, when we were young, the engines were really loud. You can hear it. These are monster
Yeah.
V12s that they were using.
Right.
So F1 has pivoted towards a more earth-friendly kind of design.
Right.
So they started off with V12s and V10s, went to V8s.
Right.
Now they are using hybrid engines, V6s. So the noises aren't as loud. So I'll give you an example. I was watching. So I was in Singapore watching the times when they didn't have the hybrid
Right.
engines yet, and you need earplugs. You really need earplugs because these are so loud.
So loud, yeah. Yeah.
All right, and after you've watched, even if you have earplugs, your ears are still gonna be ringing. It's that loud.
Oh, wow.
And I used to, the place where I worked at, you could essentially hear the noises of the cars whenever they're running.
Yeah.
'Cause, the Singapore race is at night. So when you're working through
okay.
the day and
Right.
they're having the practices in the afternoon, you can hear the engines. It's really fun, but that's how loud those engines were. And when they switch to the hybrids, it's a lot more bearable. You don't you see now people can just watch as is, and
Yeah.
some people. I mean, I personally like the sounds, but it is what it is. They made the change. Now another specific rules that they had to change was, as I mentioned, they switched to the hybrids.
Yeah.
So they had such a thing. They call it curse. So what happens is that the battery is being charged whenever they brake.
Oh.
So that's kind of contributed to the fact that they don't need to refuel anymore. So every time you see an F1 team do a pit stop, they're just changing tires.
Yeah. It's just
So there's
change tires,
yeah. So before, what happened was because fuel adds weight to the car. So
Right.
the more fuel you have, the more weight you have. The more weight you have, the slower your car is. It's just
Right.
that's how it works. So back in the 90s, back in the 2000s, what would happen is that during qualifying periods, you want the car to be as light as possible. You're probably going to be running your engine light here just because you want your car as light as possible. And
Right.
then when the race starts, you fill up. So, and then they just fill up. It becomes a strategy of how many times you want to stop because
Yeah.
a pit stop adds 10 seconds to your time at least.
Right.
30 seconds to your time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you have to
that's
be very
That's
strategic.
one thing I wanted to ask as well. Like, for example, you're first. You're ahead of the pack, and then you pit. So that you lose 10 seconds.
No, so the 10
Yeah.
seconds is spent inside the pits, but
Inside
getting
the-
to
yeah,
the
yeah.
pits is different. So
Right.
you're running basically you're running 200 miles an hour,
Yeah.
right, average, or 180 miles an hour when you're running through the circuit.
Yeah.
The pit lane, when you're entering the pit lane, you see it. So what happens is that they kind of go through this service road
Right.
going to the pits.
Yeah.
I believe the max speed they can have there is 30 miles per hour.
Oh. Okay.
So you're slowing down from that time.
Yeah.
You're going 180. You're going slowing 30,
Uh-huh.
and that's probably, I don't know, maybe half a mile of distance from
Right.
that service road to the pit lane.
Yeah.
So you're losing a lot of time, and then the pit stop is 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then you need to exit the pit lane again. That's 30 miles per hour.
Yeah.
And that's when you can rejoin the race. So you're
Yeah.
losing more than 10 seconds really, and that's why pit stops are very strategic.
You have to
now.
be strategic in
So-
getting in how, when and how when you're gonna pit. Basically.
Exactly. So before the variables, there's 2 variables before. One is the fuel, one are the tires. So they've essentially removed one variable. You cannot refuel anymore.
Right.
So now the strategy is the tires because
Yeah.
these tires are not the similar tires that what we have in our cars.
Oh,
not
no,
even
no,
the
yeah,
stock
yeah, yeah.
cars. These are very.
Yeah.
If you seen these cars, they don't have any treads on them.
No.
So they're slick tires because the slick tires offer more grip on the road. So take note, the reason why these cars go so fast, and the reason why they can go so fast in these corners, is the amount of grip, the amount how their cars touch the ground really,
Right.
and how the cars grab onto the ground. Because the idea of an F1 circuit or a driver is you want to be able to take curves as fast as possible,
Right.
while exiting as quickly as possible as well.
Yeah.
So you're trying to take the most efficient route throughout the track
Right.
without slowing down as much as you can. This is what they call a racing line.
Yeah.
So you have to find the optimal racing line for you and your car, and that includes you just taking curves as fast as you can without going off. Because there's also bounds. If you go, if there's what they call track limits in F1. So if you pass track limits, you get penalized as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of rules around that. So the one of the crucial elements of an F1 car are the tires, and these are more of consumables really, because tires wear out. So before, there are certain rules where it's free for all really. You pit whenever you go pit stop whenever you want, and this brought about a lot of strategy, but it kind of made the race boring. So what they did now is that they mandated at least 2 stops per race in order to promote more. As I said, right, the concept of pitting, slowing down and stuff. That kind of brought more overtaking to the game. So that's one of the things they addressed that as well. The other thing asked last week is DRS.
Yeah.
So DRS is drag reduction system. What happens here is that the rear wing of the car will usually just go straight like that in order to reduce the drag that you're getting. It gives you more straight line speed. So when I believe the rule is you have to be at least less than a second behind another car. Where when you're in the DRS zone and that's the gap between you and the front car, you can have a button in your steering wheel. You just open that up and gives you more straight line speed, and hopefully that helps you overtake. So that's one of the things that they did to make the races faster.
Right.
But these things are still death machines, and I don't recall I think it was 2013. I might be mistaken when that happened, but there's been a lot of deaths in Formula One. So the most famous one was 1993. That's Ayrton Senna.
94, Senna,
94, So Senna died in 94, and he crashed into the wall in San Marino because I believe he was going 300 kilometers per hour on a curve.
Wow. And
his steering column broke. Yeah. And he couldn't control his car, and he essentially hit the wall at about 300 kilometers per hour, and then the wheel broke off and hit his head. So essentially, that's how he passed away. So that was in '94. The most recent one was in 2015. So what happened here is Jules Bianchi. So there are cranes in the circuit, right? Because they need to get cars when they crash. And what happened to Jules Bianchi was his car went under a crane. Oh. And obviously, that's how we passed. So there's a lot of head trauma in here. So F1 has taken a lot of steps to make this sport safer. So one is the use of HANS. So I don't know if you watch racing a lot. So you see the drivers with some sort of thing on their neck connected to their helmets. It's called a HANS device. Right. So it's something that clips onto your helmet, and then it gives you a little bit more room. So there's cushioning on your head, so your head doesn't snap back and forth. So it's a head restraint, really. Yeah. So it's more of they've been using it a lot in a lot of the other motorsports as well. I think it's mandatory now, even for NASCAR. Right. So you see, you watch these guys; they have this thing on their necks attached to their helmets. That's number one. That's the HANS. The number two is the halo system. If you notice that there's this kind of ring around the F1 car. Right. Yeah. That kind of it's like this. If you see the most recent cars, it's called the halo. So if Jules Bianchi and Ayrton Senna had both HANS and halo in their cars, they probably would have survived. There's a good chance they would have survived. So these cars are a lot. I mean, these cars are still dangerous. Yeah. These guys are being paid so much money to risk their lives for this adrenaline. So it's been a lot safer now for them, which is great because, as I said, the last death was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And there has been very, very gruesome accidents since.
Yeah.
So the safety of the sport has never been better, and that's a good thing. So now,
Interesting.
I mentioned that there used to be like 16 something races before. Now it's 25.
25.
So there's been a lot of expansions. So
Right.
previously, this racing series only spanned. Well, there's Australia. Australia's always been there. You got a lot of European races,
Yep.
and that's why the time zones get messed up. It's hard to cover them.
Right.
And then you have, I believe, you have Brazil as well there back in the day.
Yep.
But there wasn't a lot of Asian races, and there wasn't a lot of American races.
Yeah.
Now there are.
Yep.
So the expansion of F1 has really been really exponential, and there's a lot more races in there. So there used to be a Chinese Grand Prix. There used to be a Malaysian Grand Prix.
Yeah.
There's a lot more races right now in the Middle East and Asia. So Singapore, one of them. Japan has always been on that calendar because of the racing pedigree of that country.
Right.
But from these tracks, usually, as you mentioned, Vegas was a street race.
Yeah.
I believe Vegas is a night race as well, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a night race. Yeah.
So, F1 races are usually in the afternoon,
Yeah.
right? And it started off, this night race really started off in Singapore.
Right.
So that was the first night race on the F1 calendar. And I know what you mean, because I saw them setting up all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I saw how roads were closed.
Right.
But it's a cool thing to see, right?
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
So the way when it's the F1 weekend, you know that the they're setting up all the tracks, they're setting up all the grandstands. It's fun if you're there.
Yeah.
I suggest I suggest you watch a street race and you watch a circuit race. It's just two different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you can, I think Miami's a circuit race. If you can watch that, the one in Austin, Circuit of the Americas,
Right.
is another circuit. We got Vegas as a street race. If you're gonna see something, you just gotta see that. But they've expanded more. So I mentioned the first night race was in Singapore. There's 5 now.
There's 5 now.
From one in Singapore. They now have Singapore, Bahrain, Qatar. As I said, Vegas.
Vegas. Yeah.
You got Saudi. And they even have a day-night race now. So it starts in the afternoon and the race ends at night. That's in Abu Dhabi. So Abu Dhabi is the last race of the season.
Yeah.
So they go to the Middle East is a huge. There's a lot of huge racing fans in there, and that's why they kind of put the spectacle of the sport in there, and that's what it is now.
Right.
As you mentioned, there's also the I guess if you're a fan, I would suggest the top race, and you can ask the drivers will say the same thing.
Yeah.
The most prestigious one is going to be the one in Monaco.
Yeah.
So the Monaco Grand Prix is the most prestigious one on the schedule.
You're literally racing on the French Riviera.
Yeah, you see that, right?
Yeah.
They close off streets.
Right.
You see that, and look, that same track was the one they used in Iron Man 2.
Right.
So if you watch Iron Man 2, they were racing on Monaco.
Right.
That's how famous it is, and that's why if you're an F1 driver, that's probably the race that you want to win.
Right.
So there's actually, I believe, 3 races in the world. If you're a race car driver, they call so it's Monaco in F1. It's the Indy 500, stock car, in IndyCar.
Yeah.
And you have 24 hours in Le Mans.
Right.
So the Le Mans race is a circuit race. It's another
Ford
racing
versus
series.
Ferrari. Remember that?
Yeah, that's one. So that's the 24-hour race. That's
Yeah.
like 3 drivers or something crazy like
Right.
that. So that's what they call the Triple Crown of Motorsport. So there's only a handful of people. So similar to, let's say, tennis, where you win, where only certain players have won on all 4 Grand
On
Slams.
all 4, yeah.
So the Triple Crown of Motorsport is something that's rare as well. It has,
Yeah.
it's only been done once, really.
Oh,
So there's only one guy who's won Indy 500, the 24 Hours Le Mans, and the Monaco Grand Prix. That's Graham Hill. So that's his name, and his son is actually Damon Hill, who
Damon,
actually
yeah.
became a champion as well.
Right.
So there's
Yeah.
some people who've come close, and I don't know if you noticed it, but if you've been watching, excuse me, if you've been watching motorsport, the next guy on the list is Fernando Alonso.
Yeah.
Fernando Alonso has
Fernando
won Le
Alonso,
Mans.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's won Monaco.
Yeah.
And that's why he's been joining Indy 500
He
a
wants
couple
to
of
win
times
it.
before.
Yeah.
He wants to win it
Yeah.
before he retires.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's the only thing he hasn't won in his career. So the moment he does that, he's pretty much set.
Yeah.
So that's what F1 is in a nutshell. Really,
Nice, yeah.
I think it's a very exciting sport.
Right.
Right now, they're in Belgium.
Yeah.
So they're gonna be racing in Belgium. Is home to the one legendary track called Spa. So the track is there's names of the tracks as well. So they everyone just knows that. But
Right.
Spa is one of the most prestigious ones as well. It's a favorite of the drivers. So
Right.
yeah, man, if you're getting into the sport, I would suggest just
Awesome.
going on
Yeah.
Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
I
Drive
would
to
say,
Survive, yeah. Yeah.
right? And then if ESPN shows it, that's great. You can catch highlights on the
Yeah,
internet
yeah,
if you
yeah,
want.
yeah.
You can follow the drivers.
Right.
As I said, I mean, I've been a hardcore Ferrari fan ever since I was watching.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't won anything since 2007, which kind of sucks.
Oh, really?
So the last Ferrari championship was in 2007. That was with
Wow.
Kimi Raikkonen.
Yeah.
And, there's been a lot of great drivers that have driven for Ferrari. It's essentially the Knicks or the Lakers of F1, right?
Yeah.
Fernando Alonso drove for Ferrari. Sebastian Vettel. Those are two ex-world champions. You got Lewis Hamilton now.
Lewis. Is he for right
Probably.
now?
Yeah, man, he signed last year.
Nice.
So those are essentially the three of the guys that are big in the. I mean, I don't be surprised if Max eventually ends up in Ferrari.
You know,
but,
yeah.
But Ferrari's kind of the brand in that. So I can't wait. I hope Ferrari gets a chance soon.
Yeah.
This year's probably not going to be the year, but we'll see what happens next.
Yes. All right.
All right. Look, this has been fun. I hope you guys learned something. You, Jeb, as well.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
let's do another brown bag, man. Look,
That's another one. Yeah.
I need to know more about football, and you're probably the person that I need to ask most. So
Right,
we'll do that sometime,
Yes,
and I can't
we'll
wait
do
to
that
learn more
again.
about the